Hi, I'm Stephen Adams and welcome to Optimum TV. Today I'm joined by William Newsome, CEO and President of Fibrocor Therapeutics, which is focused on new ways of tackling fibrotic diseases. So, hi William.
Good morning, Stephen.
Good to speak to you. So tell me a little bit about Fibrocor. The clue is in the name, isn't it? It's focused on fibrotic diseases, but you tell me more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me this morning, Stephen. Pleasure to be here. So yeah, let me tell you about Fibrocor. The journey began about a decade ago, Stephen, when I was supporting a number of large pharma collaborations working in the kidney disease space. And what we found is there was a real dearth of translatable, druggable targets in this space. And this really led to a global search to go and find real human disease patient samples that we could mine to find strong drivers of disease progression. And we landed in Toronto, Canada, with a group of academic accelerators that were working with a number of academic scientists exploring this biobank to look for these very drivers of disease progression. And so that was really the genesis of Fibrocor. What we found in mining those biobanks was a number of novel targets that were involved in matrix stiffness or mechanosensing. And these are really the kind of the defense mechanisms within the cell that the cell senses damage and starts this process of trying to protect itself. But in doing so, lays down excessive scar tissue and really leads to loss of organ function. And so that's the basis of the pipeline and the platform that we've built out at Fibrocor.
Okay, fantastic. Now, Fibrocor has a particular focus on Alport syndrome, which is a rare inherited kidney disease, I understand it. But explain more about Alport, if you can, please. What it is, who it tends to affect, and what's the unmet medical need.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, Stephen, it is indeed an inherited rare kidney disease, and it in particular is X-linked. And what that means is that it affects the male population more strongly than it does the female population. However, the heterozygotes or the female population aren't just carriers. They also suffer from disease complications later in life and also require a treatment there. But about 85% of the population of patients are these male patients. And what we find is they suffer from both kidney and hearing problems. But the most severe issue is with the kidney. And what we see is a deterioration in kidney function such that by the time they reach late teens or early 20s, they require dialysis or transplant.
That's a very young age to be faced with that sort of very serious medical intervention.
Yeah, it really is, Stephen. It's an important part of life. And of course, it means that oftentimes these people require multiple transplants over the course of their life. And there's only so many times that the body's able to take a procedure like that. And so we're fortunate in that there is a genetic test so it can be diagnosed. And there's a fantastic, I would say, industry-leading patient advocacy support out there. So it really helps in terms of identifying patients.
Okay, well, that brings us nicely to what Fibrocor is doing in Alport, your program to tackle this disease. Tell me about your approach and where you are in the drug discovery or development process.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe first we take a slightly deeper dive into the driver of Alport syndrome. So what we find, Stephen, is that there's a mutation in the type 4 collagen. And these mutations lead to instability in the glomerular basement membrane in the kidney. And this instability is sensed in the kidney by the cells through cellular stress and injury. So the body does what it thinks is the right thing, and it activates a cellular response pathway where it starts generating collagen and fibrillar collagen scar tissue to try and protect the kidney. But what ultimately happens is this scarring leads to loss of kidney function and ultimately damaging the kidney. So we're also fortunate in Alport's that there's a good translational mouse model out there that mimics the disease quite well. And we know when we look at our target in that mouse model, it leads to improved kidney function and increased survivability in the mouse model. So it truly is validated as best we can preclinically in the Alport space. So the expectation is as you can slow down that fibrosis, you'll improve kidney function and delay the amount of time from need for dialysis or transplant within those patients.
Okay. this isn't the only thing Fibrocor is doing. Tell me about your wider pipeline.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said, we found the company on this biobank and mining for strong drivers of fibrosis. And what we found is multiple mechanosensing targets that are involved in various states of disease. So while we're focused on rare kidney disease, we built a multimodality platform working through both partner partnerships as well as funding through venture capital. And that pipeline doesn't consist of just FIB992, the program that I just spoke about. We've also got a monoclonal antibody program, a program called FIB918. And this is a specific antibody against an integrin, very specific integrin that, again, involved in this mechanosensing and scar-forming tissue process that needs to be slowed down or stopped in these diseases. And so the monoclonal antibody, again, specific to the integrin, we actually found that in patients with chronic liver disease. And so looking at patients with primary sclerosing cholangitis, very strong correlation with expression and disease progression there, but also involved and implicated in rare kidney diseases like Alport and other diseases. That program's ready to start GLP tox testing and ready to move into the clinic. And then in addition to that, we've got another small molecule kinase inhibitor program, Stephen, that's about 6 months away from candidate, also showing very promising in vivo results and strongly implicated in numerous rare kidney diseases there. So we'll continue to develop the pipeline as the programs progress and we bring in additional funding.
Okay, fantastic. And finally, if we look ahead to the next, say, 12 to 18 months, what are you hoping to achieve, both from a clinical or scientific point of view and also from a corporate standpoint?
Sure. Well, as I mentioned, there's a pipeline, but as a biotech we're really fully focused on driving this program into this first patient cohort in Alport disease. So our intention is to complete the IND within the next 6 to 12 months, get that filed, and set ourselves up to start phase 1 SAD/MAD studies later this year. That will look, we've got a proprietary target engagement biomarker as well here that we'll be using, Stephen. So what we find is the target's expressed in very low levels in normal tissue, and it's only in disease state that the target is massively upregulated. However, it's expressed in low levels in hair follicles. So we can go in and pluck a couple of hair follicles in the phase 1 and show that we've got good target engagement and make sure we've got adequate target coverage for the kidney as we move into what will be a small phase 1B study where we'll look at a small patient cohort and again look for target engagement and some initial biomarkers for collagen deposition and scarring, and then proceed on to a phase 2. To drive all that, we're currently raising money, so we're in the process of a Series A, and we're looking to complete that fundraising by the end of the summer and keep things moving forward as again we advance these treatments to the clinic.
Super, you've got lots going on. William Newsome of Fibrocor Therapeutics, thanks very much.
Thank you, Stephen. A pleasure and always nice to speak with you.
Bye-bye.